Quitting alcohol will be the best thing you ever do with your life. And I know that's an incredibly bold statement to make. And in fact, the day you quit alcohol will probably feel like the day your life actually starts. Why do I say this? Because it is my personal experience. Now, before I dig any deeper into this topic, let me set a few ground rules. Come on in, chill, have a seat, gather round. We're going to chat for a little bit. So, first things first. One, I do not have a problem with alcohol. I do not have a problem with people who drink alcohol. I do not hate alcohol. That being said, this isn't going to be one of those radical sobriety videos like, oh, you've got to quit alcohol. It's the devil. It's evil. We're not going to go there this video. We're going to talk about alcohol and what it actually is. And I'm just going to tell you the truth and a lot of stories and my experience personally with the substance. Now, who am I? I am a man who hasn't had a single drink since February 9th of 2021. So that puts me at about 3.5 years sober. So I'm at the point right now where I honestly don't ever really think about alcohol. I have zero temptation to drink. I never want to drink, even if I go out with friends socializing. And I'm at the point now to where I look at people who drink and I honestly feel a little bad for them. And not to say like I'm better than them or anything like that, but just because I know how destructive alcohol is and how many people are very unaware of how destructive alcohol actually is. Now, who am I? I used to be the dude who loved drinking alcohol. I had my first alcoholic drink when I was 19 years old, and it was like the floodgates opened. Everything clicked. I loved the social lubrication, the fake confidence under the booze, all the nights getting smashed and all the good times and the high emotional spikes and all of that fun stuff with alcohol. I was that guy. I was the guy who was convinced that I would drink for the rest of my life because alcohol was amazing. It could do no harm. The substance was like beautiful. It was like God's gift to humanity. Like that was me when I drink. Did I drink every day? Of course not. I'll get more into that here in a second. But that was my relationship with alcohol. I always thought I would be a drinker for the rest of my life because that's how much I liked alcohol. So for me to come from that place and to be here sitting almost 4 years sober as a different person who just does not even think that way anymore, let's talk about what happened. So story time, guys, story time. We're going to talk about my sobriety journey and why I came to the conclusion that I had to cut alcohol out of my life. And here's the thing. A lot of this clarity wasn't really clear to me. And I'm making this video because I feel like this is a video I needed to make. I was going to make this video 1 year after I quit drinking alcohol, but that was too soon. Then I was going to do it on my 2nd year of sobriety, and that was too soon. And then I hit my 3rd year of sobriety, and then at that point, sobriety wasn't even anything I really thought about. It's like I had it mastered, I had it down. There was no pull, there was no emotions to manage. I did a lot of the healing work and the unpacking. But now we're at 3.5 years, and I found myself thinking about it today. So I'm like, let me do this because this is a video I've been meaning to shoot for years. So what was my story? How did I get to this place to where I wrestled with alcohol and had to quit because it was really just destroying my life, even though I was unaware of it? So, like I said, I started drinking when I was 19. Fast forward, I wouldn't say my drinking was a problem. In fact, when I quit drinking, nobody thought my drinking was a problem. Everyone felt it was very socially acceptable. I was within the norms and nobody else really thought I was like an alcoholic or anything crazy like that. Why I quit drinking was because I was the only one who could say what was going on in my mind, my heart, my soul, my emotions, the way I felt about myself and my life. And I had to make the decision to quit because the world thought I was just normal. The world thought I was doing fine. The world thought there wasn't any issues here. But I had to just open up and be honest with myself that this was not me. I got to this point, and this was probably ages 28 to 30, where my mental health was just on the decline, and I could not figure out why. I frequently felt empty. I felt hollow. I felt like a shell of the man I should be. I felt like life had no point. There was no purpose. There was no meaning. I had a good job. I had a good career. I had a girlfriend at the time. I had all the conventional things that you think would make someone happy, an apartment. I'm not in crippling debt. Like on paper, my life seems textbook good. But I never felt good. I always felt sad or depressed or had so much crazy anxiety. I would feel emotional, panic attacks, literally driving, feeling like I'm about to fall into the sky. These random chest pains, random aches all over my body, my stomach, my gut. I just felt so off balance and I felt so inconsistent. Like my character, I never felt like a solid, grounded man. I always felt like I was just like this shell of myself, living for the weekend, living for dopamine. Like alcohol was that quick fix. It was that magic substance. It was that thing that brought me joy. It was that thing that I drank to relieve stress. It was that thing I used to cope with life. It was that thing I used to enjoy life. It was that thing that was on the dinner menu. Wine o'clock, 5 o'clock. It's time to drink. Let's have a glass of wine. Why not? It's socially acceptable. It's the thing to do. I'm young. I have a career. Well, let me enjoy my life. All the movies, all the glamour. It's like people in suits looking fancy and sophisticated with a cocktail and some whiskey, and that's like the good life. Turns out that was not the good life. So, like I said, my mental health was starting to really, really spiral. And it was getting just to the point where everything was feeling wrong with my life. Everything was stressing me out. Everything felt wrong. I wasn't happy. I couldn't be grateful, appreciative, or see the things that I did have. I would fall into these patterns of self abuse and these self destructive patterns of just like depression. I would drink and then at some point the buzz would go away and I'd stop having fun and I would become just very sad and emotional. And I would just think, what the fuck am I doing with my life? There's no point. I would lock myself in my room, sometimes play Call of Duty. Sometimes I would go out with people and drink in public. Sometimes I would drink alone in my room. What was my drinking behaviors? All over the place. And I will say this because there's two things. If you're watching this and you're wondering about your relationship with alcohol, first thing, nobody can tell you that you have a problem with alcohol except yourself. No, not Google. There's no definition, even though there's medical definition like, 5+ drinks a week is drinking too much or whatever. Like none of that is relevant because every person, every situation is completely unique. So the only person who can come to the decision of whether or not you want to quit, cut back, be sober curious, see what life is like without alcohol is you. And that's why I stayed so stuck in the loop for so long, because I'm going through all of these things. And the crazy part though is that while I'm like my mental health is falling apart, and the man you're talking to now, the man speaking to you right now, completely different from the shell ghost of a man I was 4 or 5 years ago. Completely different. Energy's different, vibrations different, substances, like everything is so different. Appearance is different. I'll get more into like the benefits and all the ways my life changed since I quit drinking. But let's finish the story. So I'm at this place and it was somewhere around 28 to 30. And it's such a blur because I couldn't really pinpoint like a single moment when alcohol became an issue. And the thing that was crazy is that when I actually finally quit alcohol, I didn't even know that was the thing I needed to do. That's how stuck inside the box and the haze of booze I was, because I would take breaks from alcohol. I would stop for a week, sometimes a few weeks. A couple times I managed to stop for a whole month. But when I would stop for a whole month, I would start to maybe feel a little better, but I wasn't at this place where I was aware. Like it wasn't long enough for me to actually realize how much alcohol had been fucking me over. So it got to this place to where I would, quit alcohol for like a month. And then in my head, I would rationalize it like, oh, I don't have shakes. I don't have tremors. I'm not on the deep end of the spectrum. I'm not an alcoholic. It's been a month. Let me enjoy myself because that was the thing I did for fun. Let me go out. Let me have a drink. Let me indulge. Let me celebrate. Let me live life. And that was what kept me stuck in the rut for so long. And also, here's the crazy part. I was doing like everything else, guys. I was in the gym. I was starting to meditate at age 28. I was eating really healthy, but alcohol was the one vice I didn't want to give up. I'm eating like broccoli, vegetables, blueberries, shakes. I'm in the gym, trying to get in the gym as much as I can, but I was getting injured a lot and really just not performing well at all. I was starting to feel really run down and really sluggish. And I'm thinking to myself like, oh gosh, I guess this is what getting old is like. This is what it means to be getting into my 30s. Everything's hurting. Nothing makes sense. Performance is going down. And I'm rationing all of this to just like the natural aging process. I guess I have anxiety now. I guess I have depression now. I guess I'm just don't know who the fuck I am anymore. I guess I'm just going to feel lost and like I have no connection to anything deeper than myself. And then I hit a couple rock bottoms. There were some really dark times. Like I said, I would go into these patterns of just like depression, and I would stay there. And I realized now that those were just very comfortable places for me to be. Like something wouldn't work out, I would feel depressed about it, and I would stay in that little depressed bubble for a few days before I snapped out of it. And part of me, like saying this now feels so weird to say, but part of me was comfortable being in those patterns because that's just what I got used to. I got used to being like the sad emo boy, feeling like shit about life, listening to the suicidal emo rap, thinking like, man, it's time for me to bounce. Like there's no point in me being alive in this world. I don't have a purpose. Like what am I even doing here? And the crazy part is like I had a job, I had a girlfriend, I had all the things society tells you you need to have a happy life, and I was not happy at all. And then the reason why, despite doing all this other good stuff for my health, that I still kept drinking was because I couldn't fathom that the thing I love so much that used to bring me so much joy could be fucking me up at this point in my life. But that's because I was really uneducated about how alcohol actually works. Because we all start drinking usually pretty young, college years. You go out, you get smashed, you have a good time. The next day, if you slept 4 hours, you're up, you're at the gym. Your brain is just like, okay, alcohol is very fun. I had a lot of good times. I had a lot of epic moments. And I still got up and I went to the gym and I went about my business and everything was fine. So because we have those experiences, especially when we're young and our bodies are resilient and when we're new to the substance of alcohol, we don't really register it as a poison. Sure, we know it's bad for us on some level, but yeah, whatever. My liver's fine. It'll filter it out. It's fine. So we all start there usually, where you can drink and you're still very functional and your mental health doesn't feel bad. You have a hangover for like a day maybe, and then you're back to normal. But the thing that I didn't understand is that alcohol's effects on your brain, breaking down your neurons, it's progressive and it's slow and it happens to you without you even being aware it's happening to you. It's a slow process. I can't say how long it takes. I don't have some magic number. Everybody's different. But for me, by the time I was 30, that shit was fucking your boy up. Bad, really bad. But I didn't know that was the issue. Here's the thing, because like I said, I could quit for a week, I could quit for a month. I wasn't dependent on the substance. So why would I quit the one thing that had always been fun, that had caused me to have so many good times in my past? And why would I even think that was a bad thing? But the thing here with alcohol is that we all start from that point. So none of us initially will think alcohol is really bad for us, unless you're just allergic or have some really bad drunk moments early on, which in that case, you're probably lucky. But the average person can go decades, years, months, half their life, their entire life, without ever questioning their drinking behaviors. Because why would something that gave you so much fun be something that would be taking away all your happiness? It doesn't make sense. But that's the thing. Alcohol is progressive. It's in poison. If you look up the research and the science, watch Andrew Huberman's podcast, there's zero benefits to alcohol. The one thing it does, it releases dopamine in your brain, which causes you to feel that relief and like good in the moment. But what alcohol doesn't tell you that it does is that it slowly causes your baseline happiness to go here. And then you feel the need to drink to feel any kind of joy because you spiked your dopamine so much with alcohol. Now you're stuck here. You can get back here. Takes time. Don't worry. Don't panic. But your overall happiness, just being in your own skin, will decrease over time. And the effects of drinking are progressive. You might think you drink and you're hungover for 1 or 2 days. Let me get some electrolytes. Now I'm fine. I'm good. But the truth is, you're not good. Those neurons are still broken down. Those things take weeks, months to heal and repair. And for me, that made so much sense because, like I said, I would quit drinking for like a week or two. Maybe I'd feel a little better, but I'd still have these moments where I'd feel emotional or irritable or frustrated. And I just never felt like myself. And that was because 2 weeks, a month not drinking was not enough for my brain to just heal and go back to normal because it was progressive. It was insidious. This thing was slowly taking me over time without me even realizing it because I thought alcohol could do no harm. Alcohol was just something fun, something that released dopamine. But that's the only thing it does. It releases dopamine, but it's a cheap fix because when you quit drinking, you'll realize that the things you used to do drinking aren't actually fun for you. And you'll actually start doing the real things that you truly enjoy. and not just getting this placebo fake happiness from a drug, which causes you to just enjoy any situation you're in, basically. Even though if you were sober, you would not even enjoy that situation. But back to my story. So I'm at this point in my life to where I am just struggling with this crippling depression, this emptiness, this lost sense of self. I don't know who the fuck I am. I don't know why I just feel so miserable and unhappy all the time. I have no purpose, no direction, no clarity. And I just feel like I'm circling the drain and I'm having rock bottom after rock bottom. And the rock bottoms are getting worse and they're getting worse. And then the worst rock bottom I had was after a weekend long bender. I probably drank for like 2.5 days straight. And it didn't start off just to be a bender. It started off as just, I was like cleaning the house, I was moving to a new apartment, and it was fun. I getting a little buzz going, and then I ended up shifting back into this really negative headspace, and I just ended up feeling really depressed. And I just was like back to well, what's the point of life? Life, there's no meaning to life. Life is empty. Life is hollow. Why am I even existing? And nothing feels good. I felt so numb. I was apathetic. I had no motivation, no passion, no fire, no drive. And then I just spiraled and I just drank for a whole weekend straight because life felt pointless, and ended up basically crashing my car. I drove home from the bar on like the second day and blew out both my front tires. Somehow made it to my place. Ended up going out of my car and punching my windshield because I was so pissed off about who the fuck knows. Windshield didn't really shatter with my punching. Knuckles might have been a little bloody. I don't remember. I went in the house and I got this cosplay Thor hammer that I have, but it's actually pretty hard. It's like this hard, solid plush. And then I run out of my car and I fucking hate everything. And I hate myself and I'm so miserable. And I get this hammer. And by the way, you don't have to let it get to this point for you. So, but now talk about it. It's so funny because I have this plush Thor hammer and I'm going out of my car and I'm smashing the freaking windshield in. Glass is getting everywhere. I'm screaming. The neighbors are like, what the fuck is going on? My roommates came out like, dude, what the hell's going on? They got me back. They got me to bed. And I was just in such a low fucking vibration, such a low headspace. And like I said, I couldn't figure out why. I was doing everything right. I saw a psychiatrist. I was on antidepressants. I was on meds. I was eating really healthy. I was prioritizing my sleep, which, fun fact, you don't get good sleep if you have a single drop of alcohol. You don't even enter REM sleep. You don't go into the restful sleep your brain needs. I feel like I'm falling apart, even though on paper, life is good. Girlfriend, career, I'm young and relatively healthy-ish, but not really. And then I smashed that car. And the worst part, though, is that I ended up mass texting like 8 or 9 people that I was just feeling suicidal, that I wanted to bite the bullet and I wanted to be done with this fucking game called life. How fucking idiotic. And I text a bunch of people. Most people would blame their drunken actions on drunk brain, but I take full accountability for that. I was a fucking twat. That was just like, what the fuck was I even doing? Was I really at that level? Borderline. Had I thought about it? Of course. Did I have a means to do it? No. Was I drunk? I'm a nurse. In the nursing field, we call it drunkicidal. Actually, I probably shouldn't have said that. Doesn't matter now. I'm 3+ years clean and sober. Anyways, I go to bed and I wake up the next day and I feel so empty and so hollow. And I'm just like, I'm wrestling so fucking hard, just trying to feel normal, just trying to feel joy, just trying to feel happy, just trying to connect. And the worst part about it, guys, is that after sending out all those texts, nobody came to check on me. Nobody. Not one person. Not even my girlfriend at the time. She actually 100% ghosted me. I didn't find that out until a couple weeks later, and that was a huge trigger for me to almost go back to drinking. But nobody came through for me. Nobody called me. Nobody came to check on me. And that's just like, I say, it is what it is. Was I a drunk fuck? Maybe. Is it related to men's mental health and men's loneliness? People just don't check on the men. We're getting better about that as a society, but in a lot of ways, like men, we carry this silent struggle and we deal with all of this shit ourselves. And it's so hard for us to open up about that and to like connect and actually be open. Like, hey, dude, I'm struggling. I'm falling apart. And I text a bunch of my friends. I didn't text my best friends. I think I was too ashamed to actually open up to them at the time that I was struggling and I was falling apart and that I wasn't feeling like myself anymore. And I was really wrestling. And but the friends I did text, like nobody came to check on me. They might have like check on me, but nobody came to my place. I could have been there dead. And then I got this cold fucking feeling down to my core. And I remember like I just was so fucking drunk and so fucked up. And the last thing I wanted to do was to sober up. So I went to the fridge and all we had left was like a bottle of Goldschlager. So I got that shit. I laid in bed, drank that shit. And then I laid in my bed and didn't fucking move because I was so inebriated for probably like another 3 or 4 days. And I did it to myself because life felt pointless and I wanted to just be out. I didn't want to play this game anymore. And what I realized in my darkest moment, and the crazy thing is, like, I can talk about this now and I can bust out with a little laugh and it doesn't affect me that much anymore. It doesn't really affect me at all, actually, because I've processed this. And I can talk about it now without tearing up and crying. There was a time where this shit would make me fucking bawl. But basically, I woke up and I'll never forget this feeling. It was just like nobody came through for me. Nobody was going to check on me. Nobody was going to pull me out of this hell I was in. Nobody was coming to save me. And if I didn't take accountability and responsibility and realize that I needed to save myself, then it wasn't going to happen for me. No one was coming for me in that dark moment. You might be religious and have faith and say, well, God was there with you. If he was, I didn't hear him. But I did have that thought that nobody is going to help me and get my life together if I don't try and get my life together. And in my lowest low, when there was really no point in even getting sober at that point, I was on thin ice at my work. I'd called in plenty of times because I was depressed and I was on the fence of like even getting fired. And my girlfriend left me and my car was totaled and life was so shit. So it's like, why even come back after that? Why not just finish the job? Why not just go back to drinking? But I was so fucking miserable. And I didn't know what else to do because I was trying everything else. I was trying the meditation. I was trying to work out. I was eating really good food and quality food, clean food. I was trying to challenge my mindsets and my belief systems. But the truth is, I couldn't fix any of that and do any of that work properly while alcohol was in the picture. And the last thing I could think of was, let me just fucking quit. I don't like who I become when I drink. I don't feel like the man I'm meant to be. I become someone else when I'm under the influence of alcohol. So, actually, the timing of this event actually happened when I had a month off from work that I'd requested off to actually just go spend some time with my sister. Because, like I said, I was in a pretty dark place and I felt like taking a break from work and just spending time with family would have been a good call. I went to Dallas Fort Worth International Airport. Never forget it. I sat down at the Flying Saucer there and I had a double shot of whiskey and a Dos Equis with a lime. And I'm looking at that drink and I'm taking that shot, I'm drinking that beer, and in that moment I'm just like, this is it. I don't ever want to be this man anymore. There's no going back. Like either this is my last drink and I come back from this and I get my shit together, or I'm dead and this life is pointless. And yeah, I had my last Dos Equis and my last double shot of whiskey, and it was such a hard fucking struggle in the beginning. And I had been doing like research, I think, in the months prior to, because I was really starting to get to the point where I was thinking that alcohol might be the reason why I feel so fucked up and my life doesn't feel good. So I was like looking up, how to get sober and all these like things to do and learning about dopamine and how alcohol affects the brain. I didn't go to AA. I went to like maybe one meeting just to see what it was like, but it just wasn't for me. What I didn't like about AA, and if AA gets you sober and that's your thing, not dogging on it, different things work for different people. But I just didn't like that it made me feel like a victim who's powerless to alcohol, because in my brain, even though my self-esteem was so low and my self-worth and my depression, everything was so fucking bad, that was one thing I could say, is that I refused to let myself feel like a victim to a substance And I learned how that substance actually impacted my brain. And I learned the steps to what I needed to do to actually slowly shift out of that and get back to a normal functional human being with normal dopamine levels. So that was it. And then I flew down to California, spent some time with my sister, made a little routine for myself. Started off as just like walking 10 minutes a day, getting a little sunlight, forced myself to do these gratuity, gratefulness exercises. Um, if you want more details on this, I could put a little video talk about what I initially did. But basically, all my stuff was just based on like research on like what to do, how to feel like I had a win that day. I was starting to do like these guided meditations for like 5, 10, 15 minutes and taking it day by day. But the biggest thing I think that helped me was one, I realized nobody was going to come save me if I didn't save myself. Two, I realized that there was nothing left to try besides quitting alcohol. Three, I knew quitting alcohol was going to be so uncomfortable because it was so ingrained in my life and it was just like my go-to vice and it was like my drug of choice. But I just came to this conclusion that I'm just going to surrender to all of the bad feelings, the cravings, the struggles being social and learning how to just be in my own skin 100% of the time without alcohol. And I bought into this idea that I was going to be very depressed and very uncomfortable and very sad and very miserable for a long time until I started to feel better. And honestly, it was a roller coaster. The thing with sobriety is that there's good days and bad days, but the longer you stay sober and quit drinking alcohol, the less frequent the bad days are and the more frequent the good days are. And then your good days become really consistent. And then it eventually gets to this point to where you're back. You're normal, you're happy, you're healthy. And that's basically how it was for me. And after like 4 or 5 months quitting drinking alcohol, I really started, it was that quick that I started to feel like a completely different person. And that's when I realized the haze and the box I was in while I was a regular drinker, because I did not feel the same. Like crazy things were starting to happen to me, like environments and things that would happen to me that I used to think were the most stressful things in the world were no longer stressful. Like I said, I'm an emergency room and trauma nurse, life and death situations. I was at the point where that shit stressed me out so much. I needed to drink after work. If I had to work the next day, I probably had to drink before work because I have to go to work the next day. 4 or 5 months later, I'm at work. I'm in life or death situations, and it does not feel stressful. It used to feel stressful, but that was the alcohol, because alcohol, like I said, you think it releases that stress, but it actually releases cortisol, which then causes you, even days after the booze is gone, to perceive the world around you as way more stressful than it actually is. Big, crazy mindfuck. I know. The things you think you're stressed out about, the things that you think keep you drinking, won't actually even feel like a big deal anymore once you do the work, once you quit alcohol, once you let your cortisol levels balance, once your brain starts to repair, and it does repair. Neuroplasticity, it's a thing. Our brains can change, they can adapt. They're very strong organs. You can get your life back together. And that's why I say my life in a lot of ways feels like it started the day I quit drinking alcohol. And that was when I was 30. And that's so crazy because right now I'm 34. I feel healthier now than I did when I was 28. I have so much more energy. I'm in way better shape. I am happy. My mindset is on point. I am creative. I'm doing all the things I want to do. And that was another thing. When I was stuck in the rut of drinking, I had all of these like dreams and these ambitions and these plans for my life and these things I wanted to do, but I had no incentive or emotion or energy to even act on them because I was numbing my brain. I was living for the weekend and the quick high, the quick fix. I didn't know who I am. Now I am deeply secure and grounded with myself. I'm no longer emotional. Do I feel emotions? Sure. Do they run me? No. I can feel sadness and not spiral into emo, sad boy, Lil Peep, depression, haha, suicidal rap, whatever. No, I still like listening to it sometimes, but it's different because I'm happy now. And it's just like, oh, I remember when that shit used to be like I used to really feel that shit. I know who I am now. I feel like the man I was always meant to be. I am deeply at peace with myself. There's not really anything that's stressing me out right now. I feel healthier now than I did when I was 28. I have more energy now. I'm in the gym consistently every day, taking care of my beautiful body and my vessel. I meditate every day, even though I don't even need to. I used to journal a lot. I don't journal much anymore. There's not much left to unpack, but I did the work. I did the therapy. I did the routine. I got my routine together. I went through those dark years and months and all those low vibrations and that's the thing that it's hard with addiction and alcohol and any drug actually, is that even when you quit after a few months or a few weeks, you might have a bad day. And then you think because you had a bad day that this isn't working. And then you might go back to the substance because you think it's not working. But the truth is, change is a slow progress. It is like this. It's up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. But over time, the lows get lower. I mean, the lows aren't as low, and the lows are less frequent. And then eventually, you get to this place to where you're here, you're cruising, you're coasting. Life is good, and that's the thing, guys. Like, and that's probably why you've noticed that I don't really do many sobriety videos on the channel anymore, because for me, getting sober and sobriety, that was a big deal. Like years 1 to 2 was just like my only focus is not drinking alcohol and trying to just stay on top of like a good routine. And then year 3, right now, going on year 4, alcohol does not even cross my mind. I don't have like this crazy sober identity anymore where I'm just like, I'm the sober guy. Like it's a part of me. It's one small part of the bigger picture. But now I'm so much more than that. I'm creative. I've got a Dead by Daylight horror gaming channel that's starting to make me some decent money. I've got this channel with you guys on here. I've made all of these videos. I've been creative. I've gone on trips. I actually put all my stuff in a storage unit, moved out of my place, bought a one-way ticket to Southeast Asia, and spent 5 beautiful months traveling the world, just me, by myself, just with the backpack, meeting people, different cultures, mountains, beaches, not having to worry about work, just enjoying my life, doing the things I had always wanted to do, but I couldn't ever find the time or the motivation to do them when I was stuck in the haze of alcohol. And right now, I feel so fucking amazing. And that doesn't mean I don't have bad days. I'm not perfect, far from perfect. Am I aware of my shortcomings and my flaws? Yes, but I accept them. They're a part of me, and I appreciate all of them. Gratitude, gratefulness, those higher vibrations, peace, love, joy. That's where I typically live these days. Life is just good. I let it be good. There's dreams that I have. There's things I'd like to do, but none of that is mandatory. If I get to it, that would be great. But right now, like life feels like a bonus. Like I look back on my past, and even with all the drinking and all the bullshit I've been through and all the shitty circumstances, you know, there were still some good times. And that was another crazy thing is that it's hard to quit drinking alcohol because you remember the good times you had with alcohol. And let's be real, there are some fun times getting shit faced with your boys or your girls and going out. And there are times you go out and drink and the world doesn't fall apart. But at some point, alcohol just stops serving you. It becomes this thing that you can't do that anymore because alcohol will eventually destroy you. And it's not me saying that to be grim and just be like, oh, you all need to drink alcohol. Like, look at the science. I told you that podcast. Alcohol is a poison, and over time, it will corrode you. Maybe you'll realize that in this life, or maybe you'll go to your grave without ever realizing that. Like I said, it's not up to me to make the decision. It's up to you to make the decision about whether or not you want to quit. But for me, like I gave up the one thing, and I've gained everything. Joy, peace. I'm so happy just with where I'm at. Like I told you, I felt so empty and so unfulfilled, and I just felt like I wasn't the man I was meant to be. These days, I feel like I'm the man I was meant to be. I have faith. I believe in belief. I believe in more than myself. I've connected to a higher power. I I think I could go on, but I think you guys get the point. Like I take care of myself now. I still do the good habits and things that make me happy, and I enjoy the person I am today so much more than I ever enjoyed the old version of me. And it shows. Like my relationships have completely gotten better. My friendships have gotten better. I have learned what it feels to just like be human again. I've done all of these things to continue to further work on myself, but quitting alcohol was the first step because that led me to getting committed to my meditation, committed to my workout practice. Like I said, starting off in sobriety, my daily exercise was walk out in the sun for like 10 minutes, maybe 20, maybe 30. Fast forward now, 3.5 years later, that has changed from that little habit to I'm in the gym 2 to 3 hours every morning, doing a ton of mobility work, getting all my range of motion back, working, pumping up, getting some muscles, like just taking care of this vessel that's going to walk me through this game of life that we're playing. Meditate every day. My peace of mind, the way I see the world and interpret the world and experiences is so different now than it ever was. I feel like a man. I feel consistent. I feel like I'm ready for the world and whatever the universe throws at me. And like I said, I can look at my life now and I can look back at all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, and truly say that, man, I have lived a good fucking life. Even though I've struggled, even though I've been through bullshit, I've been through the breakups, I've been through my issues wrestling with alcohol, I've been through permanent leg damage and nerve injuries. I hurt myself in the gym like 5 years ago and have like a weak calf muscle, so I can't properly do calf raises and some workouts in the gym, but that doesn't stop me. I'm still in the gym. Doesn't make me feel incomplete, doesn't make me feel like I'm not whole or not centered. I love where I'm at. And every day these days, it feels like a bonus. And if I can get there and get to this place of just peace, joy, happiness, contentment, anybody can. You can. And I think that's the message I want to leave you guys with today is that it really doesn't matter where you came from, what you're wrestling with, what's going on in your life, the way you see the world today. You can get to this place of joy and peace and health. And you can quit drinking alcohol if that's the thing that you think's holding you back. And it's hard. It's definitely not easy, but it is 100% worth it. And you will forever be grateful that you quit drinking alcohol. It will be the best thing you ever did with your life. Trust me. Much love to you guys out there. And thank you for listening to me to the end of this video.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Got a buildup of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way.